Hello, my name is Warren Freeman. I'm here with Warren's Vlog, episode 63. I've got a lot of shit to talk about tonight, and I don't want to be here all night, so I'm just going to breeze through it. So before I get to Monday Night Raw, I would like to talk about Elimination Chamber and give my review of the show. Also, any music you hear, I do not own the rights to. Alright, so Elimination Chamber. Let's see. We had the pre-show match, which I'm not gonna rate. We had the Club versus the Miztourage, um, and the Club won. It was on a pre-show, and I guess I should explain my rating system. So I haven't done these videos in a while. Basically, I rate all the matches on the show, one being the worst, five being the greatest. Sometimes I've gone below a one if it really sucks, like Hogan and Yokozuna from WrestleMania 9 is the record, I do believe. So, one being the worst, five being the best. And then I've never given a five in all the videos I've done. The only five I've given is the Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and The Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as the referee, and that was a written review. But I will do WrestleMania. I will do that WrestleMania as a video soon. We are in the season. So after I rate every match, I take an average of every match that I rated, and then that's my rating for the show. And still, the ratings are the same. One being the worst, five being the best. All right, so like I said, we had the Club versus the Miztourage. The Club went over. That was on a pre-show. That doesn't get counted. We get to the main show. And we have the Women's Chamber kicking off the show. And in the Chamber, we have, let me go to my notes. We have Alexa Bliss, Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, Mickie James, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. And I'm going to basically run down the eliminations to show you how it all went down. Mandy got eliminated first by Ronda Rousey via tap out via the bank statement. Mandy Rose made history by being the first woman eliminated from the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match and the first woman eliminated from the first ever Elimination Chamber match. So congratulations, Mandy Rose, for unintentionally making history. Sonya Deville would follow her elimination, Mandy's elimination, by Mickie James with a Lou Thesz press off the pod. And if you remember my Elimination Chamber 2011 review, I talked about Elimination Chamber cliches. And one of those cliches I talked about is somebody dominates and then swiftly gets eliminated. That was Mickie James in this match. Because after she hit the Lou Thesz press, Bayley had a Bayley to belly on her and eliminated her. Then Sasha would turn on Bayley, which, first off, I'm going to really dive into that later when on Monday Night Raw, because Sasha didn't turn on shit. It was every woman for herself. But I'm going to save that rant for when I talk about Raw. So Sasha Banks turned on Bayley in the Chamber, and Bayley would get her comeback in the match. Bayley would hit a Bayley to belly suplex on Sasha Banks off the middle rope, and Alexa Bliss would roll up Bayley to eliminate her. But prior to that, Alexa Bliss was playing a nice little game of cat and mouse with Sasha and Bayley. Like, Alexa would climb the cage, and then Sasha and Bayley would climb the cage, and then before they can catch her, she would climb back down, and she would climb back up. It was kind of cool seeing that, and that's what led to Sasha booting Bayley off of the pod. What was cool was how this happened was Alexa Bliss was on top of the pod, and Sasha and Bayley were on top of the pod, but Bayley was climbing, and Sasha just kicked her down. It kind of made me think of Lion King, where everyone's seen the Lion King, where where Mufasa is like on the cliff, struggling to get up, and Scar just grabs his hands and says, "Long live the king," and just throws him off. That's kind of the image that I had in my head when I saw Sasha kick Bayley off of the pod. But yeah, like I said, Bayley would get her get back with the Bayley belly, off of the top, off of the middle rope. But before Bailey could cover her, Alexa would roll up Bailey for the elimination. So it would come down to Bailey and Sasha. Sasha was on the top rope. Alexa Bliss would like bash her head up against the glass and then hit a top rope DDT, kind of like a Orton DDT, but just with the feet instead of and the feet and the ropes. The feet were on the top rope, which Orton has done that before. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how Orton won his first Intercontinental title when he beat RVD in Armageddon 03. I have to research that to be sure, but that's how Alexa won with the DDT. She cut this promo where it seemed like she was tearing up about all the little girls now believe they have a chance because I did it, and then she turned heel and said, "You guys will never accomplish your dreams." And just well done by Alexa Bliss with the heel promo there. Overall, I gave that match a 4. Great start to the show. Okay, then we had The Bar versus Titus Worldwide. This surprisingly was a good match. I really enjoyed the shit out of this match. A lot better than I thought it would be. Just gonna switch my television to HDMI 3 so I can like have a monitor that I can look at myself because I'm narcissistic. But anyway, yeah. So The Bar, that was a very good match, a very physical match, and they would even have a more physical match on Raw. But I'll get to that later when I talk about Raw. The Bar won. I gave that a 3. I kind of thought that like Titus Worldwide would kind of go over, if not tonight, but if not last night, then tonight because of Black History Month. But nah, they didn't, and it's cool. It's whatever. So then after that, we go to Asuka versus Nia Jax. I gave that match a 3 as well. I also put in my notes that it was better than their encounter at NXT, but I still refer to that match at NXT because it kind of killed the mystique of Nia Jax. Because those who watch NXT knows that Asuka defeated Nia Jax. So when they were hyping up this streak that Asuka had, they failed to mention that Nia Jax was also a victim. So no one, including myself, saw Nia Jax as a threat, even though they did a good job of making her seem like a threat last week on Raw. And I think I talked about that last week when I reviewed Raw. But yeah, I had no doubt in my mind that Nia Jax was going to lose that match. And so then we go to Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt. This match was pretty boring. I think their short match that they had at Raw 25 was what that needed to be on the pay-per-view. I'm not sure which match was longer. I think I was more invested in the match at Raw 25, maybe because it was Raw 25, it was a special attraction. Maybe that's why I was more invested in it than I was at the pay-per-view. I actually fell asleep, so I had to go back and watch it. Matt won with the Twist of Fate, and this just goes to show that Bray Wyatt cannot win a match when he needs to. I put in the Raw thread. I'm in stuttering all over my words tonight. I'm an admin on Yes Wrestling. That's on Facebook.com, and we have a weekly thread for Raw and SmackDown. And I put in there that I think that Bray Wyatt possibly winning the Andre the Memorial Giant. Bray Wyatt winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal would give him a little bit of credibility, would restore some credibility that he's lost over the years. Because his Mania track record is not good. I mean, he's lost to Cena, Taker. He got buried by The Rock for no reason. Then he lost to Orton. So winning the Battle Royal would give him some credibility. Yeah. So I gave that match a 2. And then I gave the Men's Chamber. Oh, wait. Before I get there, we got to talk about the Ronda Rousey segment. So no contract signing or wedding or anything like that goes smoothly in the WWE. Whenever there's a contract signing, you can expect calamity. That's exactly what it was. Basically, they brought Ronda out. Kurt Angle spilled the beans on what Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were saying behind Ronda's back about how, 3 years in the making now, we got this bitch. But it's kind of weird that what got Ronda going was when Kurt Angle said that Stephanie said that she's a has-been and that Stephanie could take her. I would think the whole "we got the bitch" would be what gets her, but it didn't. Also, Kurt Angle fucked up and said WrestleMania 21 instead of 31. He must have been thinking about his match with Shawn Michaels or something. I don't know, because that was WrestleMania 21. But the confrontation with that Kurt Angle was referring to was The Rock and Ronda versus Triple H and Stephanie WrestleMania 31. So yeah, shit got real. Triple H put himself through the table, and then Stephanie slapped Ronda. Yes, Triple H put himself through the table. That shit was so fucking contrived. It was ridiculous. But it got a pop from the crowd, and I guess that's all that matters. Alright, so we go to the men's chamber, and I gave this a 2.5 because it had so much potential, and it wasn't really a bad match, but the reason why I rated it the way I did was because I just didn't like how they made Strowman. Like, I liked it and I hated it at the same time. Like, okay, they made Strowman look incredible by eliminating everyone. Strowman eliminated Miz, Elias, Cena, Balor, Seth, all of them in succession. As soon as Braun came out, he went batshit crazy and eliminated everybody. And then next thing you know, 2 spears later, Strowman putting himself through the pod, and then Reigns wins. And it's like, I knew since last year that the plans was Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at this year's WrestleMania. So that doesn't upset me. Just the way that they got there kind of upsets me. I'm kind of split right down the middle, actually, because they made Strowman look incredibly strong. But, I don't know. Yeah. So I gave that match a 2.5. So let me go over it again. Women's Chamber got a 4. The Bar versus Titus Worldwide got a 3. Asuka and Nia Jax got a 3. Matt Wyatt got a 2. Men's Chamber got a 2.5. The average score is 2.9. So 2.9 rounded up to a 3. Not bad, I guess. Alright, so we move on to Monday Night Raw. SmackDown won for the week, and my review's over. Fuck it. SmackDown won for the week, and I haven't even watched SmackDown yet. Man, this show. Oh, the show was a mess. Alright, so the first half hour was confusing. It was confusing and inconsistent. Okay? First off, you start off with the replaying of the Ronda segment. They would play that 2 other times tonight. One time with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon in the fucking ring. They replayed it. And then the inconsistency of, like, they would show still photos of Nia and Asuka from the pay-per-view last night. So there's inconsistency right there, but that's nitpicking. That's just something I wrote down. This is what I want to focus on. I want to talk about the Alexa Bliss promo, okay? First off, she comes out with Mickie James. Now, my friend Brandon Collins on Yes Wrestling might have pointed out that Mickie James and Alexa Bliss showed up on Raw Talk together. If that's the case, then fine. Okay. But I didn't watch Raw Talk. So, even if Mickie James showed up on Raw Talk with Alexa Bliss, my original question was, when did Mickie turn heel? Secondly, what's Mickie's motivation for turning heel? Okay? Those are 2 questions I have. Then, okay, so Asuka interrupts, and it's basically a trap for Nia Jax to come out and whoop her ass. Great. So, randomly turned heel Mickie James, Alexa Bliss, and Nia Jax jump on Asuka, who's not 100%, after being put through the barricade. Again, I just want to mention the match they had with Nia Jax and Asuka at the Elimination Chamber. When Asuka put her through the barricade, I immediately thought of a couple years ago when Nia Jax put herself through the barricade, and that was just funny. But I digress. Anyway, so All right. Nia Jax come out. A newly healed Mickey James and Alexa Bliss start whooping on Asuka. So Sasha and Bailey come out together in solidarity to defend Asuka. There's so much wrong with that. One, why would Sasha and Bailey want to help Asuka after last month? Asuka kicked both their faces off, threw them over the top rope right before the Royal Rumble. Okay, so just because their faces, like, no, that doesn't make sense. Then why would Sasha and Bailey come out together in solidarity after what happened last night? It doesn't make that just did not make a lick of sense. So in the midst of all this chaos, we have a commercial break. We come back and there's a 6 diva tag. So it's Mickey, Alexa, and Nia versus Asuka, Sasha, and Bailey. Why Sasha and Bailey are on the same team still doesn't make sense. So Sasha tags herself in, and it's like a hard tag, and Sasha gets in. They set up for the hot tag, and as Sasha's reaching out for the tag, Bailey drops from the apron. And Sasha's like, the look on her face, like, why would you do that? Then Mickey and Asuka fight. And then Bailey comes in and hits Bailey to belly, I think, on Alexa. And then Mickey and Asuka fight. And then Asuka hits this weird armbar / knee bar combination that looks sick as fuck. And Mickey James taps out. So that's how that ended. I was so confused watching that match. That first half hour just confused me. So, oh, and Cole pissed me off tonight too. Man, Cole had my blood pressure up. And if it wasn't Michael Cole, it might have been the fried chicken I ate. But I'm pretty sure it was Michael Cole. Because Cole was talking about, oh, Sasha turned her back on her in the chamber. And Sasha, let's not forget about the Royal Rumble. Sasha turned her back on her in the Royal Rumble. In both these matches, it's every woman for herself. So how is Cole coming up with this logic that Sasha turned on Bailey in these instances? It makes no sense. That's not the first time Cole will piss me off tonight. He will piss me off again, and I'm going to get to that when I get to it. Alright, so we go to a Cena promo. Cena comes out with his whole Cena shtick about a man is not judged, or the man's character is not determined when he's successful. It's determined when his back is against the wall. And he goes full Denzel Washington on us. He teases a Taker match. He says, I'm going to come out here and do something I should have did a long time ago. And that's to challenge Undertaker to a match at WrestleMania. Swerve, bro. But I don't make the matches. And I've been told that match is impossible. So I'm going to SmackDown to find my way. To find my route to WrestleMania. I don't know. It's like Cena is trying to swerve us, but we know Taker is gonna clap back and say, "What, bitch? You want to say my name and shit? Let's just do it at WrestleMania." So we know where that's going. And to be honest with you, that's the only way I'd be interested in seeing Cena this year at WrestleMania is if he fought The Undertaker. Because there's no one else that Cena could wrestle right now on the roster at WrestleMania that would interest me. I mean, I'm going to watch WrestleMania regardless. I'm just saying. Alright, so we go into Bray Wyatt versus Heath Slater, but that's a no contest because Bray attacks Rhino and then Bray just beats the shit out of both of them. Gets on the microphone and says, Matt Hardy, this is your fault. I had to hurt two innocent people. Since when does Bray Wyatt's character care about hurting innocent people? That made no sense. My assumption is that they're going to fight at WrestleMania, but who knows. Alright. Then we go into the 9 o'clock hour. And at the top of that hour, they played a Ronda video again. Then there's a Miz promo, which Miz's promo and Roman's promo were like the highlight for me for this show. And I'll talk about Roman's promo in a minute. But Miz's promo, he comes out and says that, he said he had talked to Kurt Angle and he said that he might have an opponent at WrestleMania. This sets Miz off. So Miz wrestles in a sort of gauntlet match, sort of like he wrestles an unofficial gauntlet match because they did the gauntlet gimmick last week on Raw. So why not do it 2 weeks in a row? So he wrestles Seth Rollins in a decent match, which you're not going to get a bad match from Rollins. He wrestles Rollins. Rollins hits this incredible frog splash, probably the longest frog splash distance-wise that I've ever seen. Literally from like 3/4 across the ring. That shit was hot. He beat Miz with that. Then Finn Balor came out. Oh, one thing about Miz's promo, and this is just a nitpick. This is nitpick. Raw was in Anaheim, California tonight. And Miz said, the road to WrestleMania, and it stops through Anaheim, a glorified suburb of Los Angeles. And Anaheim, and he said in the same breath that Anaheim is 45 minutes away. I'm sorry, no suburban city is 45 minutes away. I'm just saying, that's a nitpick. Anyway, Seth Rollins beats The Miz. Then Finn Balor comes out, and the Miz Ross jumps Finn Balor. Kurt Angle says, no, you're going to face Finn Balor one-on-one. And the club is banned from ringside, and so is the Miz Ross. So they have a one-on-one match. Finn Balor beats him. And it's like, okay. So we definitely know it's going to be a multi-man match, for sure. Probably a ladder match if I had to guess. Also, how's Miz going to do this when Maryse is due? His wife is pregnant. She's due around this time. So how are they going to work that in? I don't know. Now, this is where Cole pissed me off during the commentary. Cole basically did two things that set me off here. First, he says that Miz has been complaining and whining all his career. That's all he's ever done. Bitch, you were on his nuts from 2010 to like 2011 to like 2012. Cole was on Miz's nuts. So don't try to backtrack now years later because I still remember, motherfucker. Okay, then he accuses Corey as he calls Corey a propaganda puppet for the Miz. And this just sent me into a rage. Like, really? Really, Cole? You're accusing Corey of spewing propaganda for the Miz? I mean, you've done that during your heel run? Oh, man, that soured me on Cole for the rest of the night. I'm surprised I didn't mute my damn TV after that shit. Wow. Okay, so we go to the 10 o'clock to the 11 o'clock hour. And Brock Lesnar is scheduled for a face-off with Roman Reigns. But Brock Lesnar doesn't show up. Now, I get that they did that because it's a part of the angle. But if I'm a paying fan and I pay to see Brock Lesnar, I'm going to be pissed and demand a refund. Okay, there's a fine line between working a story and fucking over the fans. And I'm not saying there's a vast majority of people that wanted to see Brock Lesnar. I'm just saying if they were, come on, man. False advertising, bro. Not cool. So Roman Reigns comes out and cuts the best promo of his life. He starts shooting from the hip. I mean, I'm not going to try to repeat what he said, but I'll paraphrase it. Basically saying, guys like me and people in the back, we're here every single week. We travel, 7 days a week. You only show up when you want to, and when the money's good, and when the city's good. And Reigns just laid into Lesnar, and you could tell that he was shooting from the heart. He was shooting from the hip, and it came from the heart. And that's the kind of Roman Reigns that I want to see on a weekly basis, not the scripted Roman Reigns. And he even said, I'm going to go in the back and I'm going to take my ass chewing like a man because I respect this business. I was like, damn. That was, like I said, I ain't going to say too much about it because you got to watch it. But I will say this and I'll move on. That was the CM Punk-esque promo that Roman Reigns got tonight. And, damn. I was very impressed with that promo. Probably the highlight of the night for me. Okay. Then we go Titus Worldwide versus The Bar, 2 out of 3 falls. Again, the Black History Month, I think they kind of missed an opportunity there by putting Titus Worldwide over, and they didn't. Instead, they have Titus Worldwide lose 2 straight falls. Um, Titus O'Neil hit this weird Dominator thing that just looked unsafe. Like Titus was going for a power bomb, and it looked like he was losing Sheamus a little bit. So like he picked him up, and then instead of releasing him like a power bomb, he did release him like a power bomb, but Sheamus landed on his face. So I don't know if that was meant to be a power bomb and Sheamus over rotated. Maybe Sheamus was tired. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it started like a power bomb and it ended with like a Dominator. Which, if you know, a Dominator is here. You pick him up like a suplex or like a gutwrench suplex. You put him over your shoulder and you drop him on their face. Titus had him with a power bomb, picked him up and dropped him on his face. I don't know. It looked like it hurt like a bitch though. All right. Also, I wrote this down. It doesn't really relate to Monday Night Raw directly, but I was thinking if they don't pull the plug on the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos, then I think it should be the Usos versus the Bar at WrestleMania. The reason why I say that is because both teams have beaten everybody there is to beat, except the Bludgeon Brothers when it comes to the Usos. And if you're not gonna pull the plug on that, then I'd say just have the Usos and the Bar fight at WrestleMania. So they did the Warrior announcement. JJ Ferguson. I don't remember his name. I know his nickname was JJ. It was a little kid that had a liver problem when he was a baby. He had 2 liver transplants. The first one wasn't as successful. The second one is basically keeping him alive and doing wonders for him. I always like these Warrior awards they do every year, but there's just something about Dana Warrior that's just unsettling. I can't put my finger on it, but like every time I watch the the Hall of Fame and I see her talk, I hear her talk. It's just something unsettling about her. I can't put my finger on it, but yeah. All right. So we have Strowman versus Elias. That ends in a DQ when Strowman pulls out a fire extinguisher and blinds him. Strowman attempts to put Elias through the table, and Elias gets away. As Strowman is chasing Elias backstage, a black limousine pulls up. And I don't think, unless I missed something, I don't think that was Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I really don't. Unless I missed them getting on a limousine or something like that. Because when we got back to commercial break, Triple H and Stephanie were coming out to the ring. And they played the Ronda segment from the pay-per-view for a third fucking time. A bunch of tomfoolery. Ronda came out ready to whoop ass. Kurt Angle stopped her. And Kurt Angle retracted the story about last night, about all the things that Triple H and Stephanie said about her, about Ronda. He said that he was lying. He said that he was sorry. And Ronda said, okay, cool, whatever. But before we can move on, Stephanie, you need to apologize to me. And I really love how they played this out because Stephanie walked up to her like a boss, like she was going to whoop her ass. And then Stephanie immediately apologizes. And after exiting the ring, Triple H sucker punches Kurt Angle. I'm confused. Like, if Kurt Angle admitted that he was lying, which he wasn't, but if Kurt Angle did what the authority wanted him to do, then why did Triple H sucker him in the face? I don't. And then they just go off the air. So, yeah. Raw was a mess. And I know I said that SmackDown already won for the week, but that's not fair because I haven't watched SmackDown yet. But SmackDown is gotta suck pretty bad to for me to pick Raw because this show was a mess. Like I mentioned, the divas or the women at the beginning of the show, none of that shit made sense. Um, and then they kept replaying the Ronda segment over and over again. Um, I wasn't necessarily upset about Brock not showing up. The Roman work shoot promo was fantastic. Um, But yeah, this is what killed it for me. The way the women were utilized tonight, I didn't like that. The way the Miz was utilized tonight, I didn't like that. It didn't make any sense. I didn't understand it. Um, I think they missed an opportunity by putting the tag titles on Titles Worldwide. They blew that opportunity. And then the main event segment just left way too many questions and not enough answers. But they've got 6 weeks to figure this shit out, and I'm confident that they will because WrestleMania usually turns out to be a stellar event. So they got 6 weeks to figure it out. However, SmackDown has 2 weeks to build the fast lane. So we're gonna see how SmackDown matches up to Monday Night Raw tomorrow when I review it. I'm Warren Freeman. This is episode 63 of Warren's Vlog, and you guys have a wonderful night.